Welcome to the Bamboo Studio, the Bamboodio. Yeah, we're looking at the new Moment Pro Camera 2 app. I've been using the beta version of this app for the last month while here in Japan, and I've got to say, it's like the original, but better in every single way. And there's one new feature in particular that I'm very excited to share with you. My favourite way to shoot with Pro Camera 2 is actually with the naturally processed photo mode. This gives us like this really nice, soft filmic look without any kind of app processing on your photos. But the way I like to shoot with this is actually when keeping the RAW file. And you can do this by just going up into the file format. Then under codec you have HEIF, JPEG and TIFF. Under that you can press this little button to keep RAW. So when you do that, it means you actually have the naturally processed like HEIF file for quick sharing, and 9 times out of 10 that is actually the better looking photo. But you also have the option to share the RAW photos either to Lightroom on your phone, or you can send it to your desktop and then edit your photos later. On a normal iPhone like this iPhone 16, we can shoot in the naturally processed mode with the standard 26mm wide camera and with the 13mm camera. But at the moment we can't shoot at 2x zoom, so we can't go up to that 52mm, and that's where attaching a T-series lens can be really helpful. With this being the beta version of the app, there are a couple of new features that aren't quite finished or just not available yet. And the first of which is the action plate. This is where we can see our exposure meter, change our white balance, then also things like our exposure priority modes, which we're going to get into. This angle is wonky. There you go. Better? Yeah, better. So the next thing I want to talk about is the exposure priority modes that we now have available. This is much like on a dedicated camera where you have like the PASM dial, whereas of course on an iPhone we can't control things like aperture, sadly. So what we have are auto, manual, ISO, and shutter priority. So we're actually be able to control different things like setting your shutter priority and then letting the camera take care of the ISO values, or vice versa, or giving yourself full control in manual mode. I've mostly been using manual mode when shooting in video because that lets me control my ISO, locking that so it's not adjusting mid-shot, and also my shutter speed to match my frame rate. And this is going to give you a lot more control in different scenarios, especially when you're pairing it with something like a Moment T-series lens and an ND filter in video mode. I was about to lean very casually against this bamboo tree pole for a shot, but there's a cobweb right next to my head, so we're not doing that. Right. Safe. Of course, you can mount Moment T-series lenses using one of the Moment Pro camera cases. And this is actually for the iPhone 16. I still haven't upgraded to the 17. On the iPhone 16, we still have access to Pro Camera 2 and RAW photos. Yet you don't need a Pro iPhone to shoot RAW photos, like I talked about in this video here on the channel. But with these cases, you can then add the T-series lenses to be able to give yourself more flexibility when shooting photos and video. You don't need the Moment camera case or T-series lenses to get all the benefits of the Moment Pro camera app. You can do all of this just with the standard built-in cameras on your iPhone, whether you have a Pro iPhone, the standard iPhone, or the iPhone Air. Of course, if you're mainly shooting video, having the Pro iPhone for using the quick lock filters will be really useful for the standard built-in cameras. But you can also do that with the standard iPhone, attaching a T-series lens and an ND filter. Or without the case whatsoever, using this for photography to replace the standard iPhone camera app makes it such a better photography experience, and it's really worth giving a try. Now there is one more video feature I want to talk to you about that you do not need the camera case for whatsoever, and that is the ability to shoot in OpenGate. Yes, OpenGate. You can find OpenGate under resolution, then you have standard definition, HD, 4K, and then Open Light, which gives us like an HD version of OpenGate, or Open Max, which gives us a 4K version of OpenGate. Now, one of the crazy things to me is the fact that you can do this with both the rear cameras and the front cameras. So you can hit the little like flip switch at the bottom, and then you actually have OpenGate facing you. So like in selfie mode, you can shoot OpenGate video whether you're in portrait or you're in landscape. So as you can see here, I'm recording in open gate on the front facing like selfie camera. I'm having to use my camera for audio right now. I want it to still sound okay. But this actually gives us so much more flexibility, because if I'm all the way over here, obviously right now, we're not going to use this aspect ratio in most situations, unless you're like a 4:3 king. But you can actually just crop this to like a wide 16:9, or you can even try and crop this down the middle to a 9:16 for short form. And this gives you so much more flexibility. And this is something you can't do as standard in your standard like iPhone camera app, whether it's on a Pro phone, the normal phone, or the Air. So having this ability just gives you so much more flexibility, especially if you're someone who needs to produce content for loads of different platforms. But of course, this isn't just for selfie shooting, this is also for when you're filming with the rear main camera. So you're going to be able to use that full width of the sensor to be able to crop to 16:9 and 9:16, and you can do this in both the main wide camera and the ultra wide. And here you have it in the ultra wide lens as well. And this just gives you so much flexibility, but something to remember is that we do not have the usual stabilization when shooting in these modes. So you are going to need to rely on a tripod or putting your camera on a stabilizer. There is one more video feature that I did want to mention, and that is for when you're not shooting on a Pro iPhone. Of course, on the non-Pro iPhones, we don't have Apple ProRes log, sadly, but the Moment Camera app does give us a little bit of a bump in terms of video specs. So as well as HEVC, which is like the standard, more compressed video codec, we can shoot in that in both a medium bitrate and a high bitrate for a bit better quality. Or we can shoot in H.264, which is less compressed, and we can also shoot with that in that medium and high bitrate. So if you're not shooting on a Pro iPhone, you can use the H.264 with the high bitrate to get the best video quality possible. That is everything that's new about Moment Pro Camera 2. Again, I've just been using the beta version so far, but as of today, when this video drops, you can now go to the App Store and download the full version of Moment Pro Camera 2. And if you want to see a video on using Moment T-Series lenses on the iPhone Air, go check out Davey's video here. A teeny iPhone with Pro lenses.